Hello friends, welcome to the first episode of the Comfy Synth review. My name is Victor. The long winter is over. Spring is finally here, the snow is melting, and the forest is coming alive once again. We are blessed with many beautiful Comfy Synth albums this month. In this episode I will share my favorite Comfy Synth releases of March 2023. Stay until the end to hear about my favorite release of the month. Without further ado, let's start the Comfy Synth review. Volume 1, by Mr. Hare. We start with this lovely side project from French ambient artist Bador. He is the creative force behind fantastic projects like Le Gris. As you can hear, this is a great example of the classic Comfy Synth sound. Each song is very minimal in its composition. The musician went for a full-on lo-fi aesthetic, but the mix still feels balanced, which makes for a comfortable listen. Volume 1 keeps this approach throughout its short runtime. Each track is about 1 minute, and as you progress in the track list, the mood keeps switching between ominous dungeon synth and warm comfy synth. Lovers of both genres will be thrilled with this EP. I enjoyed this a lot and will definitely be waiting for Volume 2. Samuel, King of Filings, by Spife. This little album has a very big heart. It's filled with imperfections, but that's part of its charm. It's like the soundtrack of that video game you played when you were a kid. The game had a lot of gameplay issues and glitches, but you still loved it, because it meant something. Composition-wise, the music is very simple and has its quirky moments, with wobbly synth lines and repetitive patterns. But it feels like the key part of this album is its story. It feels very unique and personal. After diving a little deeper into the artist's Bandcamp page, it appears that Samuel is a recurring character in the artist's discography. So there is more lore to discover, which I love. Or, you can let your imagination run wild, and dream up your own backstory. That's the magic of Comfy Synth. One more thing, this album has my favorite artwork of this month. Long live Samuel. Spring Snowflake, by Toad Blood. Indiana-based artist Toad Blood delivers a short and breathtaking ambient comfy synth mini-album. The sound design and mix is exquisite throughout this EP. The soft, distorted pads and synths go very well with the lonely wind instruments that we can hear in the distance. The sound of rain doesn't feel gimmicky. It truly enhances the experience. The music is voluntarily monotonic, but the chord changes from part to part are transcendent. On Spring Snowflake, Toad Blood is showing us the ghosts of winter that are still haunting this early spring. The album ends with a hopeful track, making the listening experience feel whole. A wonderful release indeed. The Warmth of Spring, by A Gentle Waltz. With its previous releases, A Gentle Waltz has already put its print on the comfy synth scene. A Gentle Waltz is one of the many comfy synth artists that move away from lo-fi production style and embrace a digital sound. The use of MIDI composition tools is obvious here, and it is reminiscent of old computer games. Indeed, The Warmth of Spring demonstrates you don't need a lot of reverb, echo or any lo-fi effect to make a fantastic ambient album. It's a tapestry of sounds made out of digital clarinets, chimes, bells and flutes. The compositions are structured and very direct. But still, their primary role is to instill a mood and an atmosphere. This is a very enjoyable release, and a beautiful soundtrack for this early spring. Exercises in Relaxation, by Natural Empath. A newcomer to the comfy synth scene, Natural Empath blew me away with this first release. This one is a very emotional album with soothing synth sound, and it's an ode to nature and spring. There are undeniable new age influences on this album. I think it's amazing that Comfy Synth is naturally branching out to other genres of ambient music. The album is filled with creative and interesting musical choices. It's comfy all the way. The song, Water Fountain, is my favorite track released this month. This is a little gem of an album. I cannot wait to see what this artist will do next. Late Winter Blooms, by Onfang. Onfang is back this month with a new album. And what a gem. In only 5 tracks, Onfang manages to capture the essence of winter. The beauty, the melancholy, how it feels like to walk on freshly fallen snow. It's all there, in the music. From arpeggios of ice vibraphones to stunning synth pads resonating in a snow-covered valley, every sound was so carefully crafted. This is a gorgeous album that feels very intimate, with melodies that will stay with you for a long time. I encourage all Comfy Synth fans to give it a listen. Late Winter Blooms, by Onfang, is deeply moving. Wanderlore, by Deep Gnome. Here's a new EP by one of the forerunner projects of Comfy Synth. Deep Gnome doesn't disappoint with a collection of 5 new songs with a magical atmosphere. The sound design is voluntarily retro, it has somewhat of a new age feel. But it never feels tacky. The arpeggios and plucky sounds are delicate and soothing, it creates the perfect soundscape for some fantasy dreaming. The synth pads accompanying the melodies often have dark undertones. This combination is done masterfully, and it instills a feeling that is very hard to describe. Wanderlore is suddenly over and it seems you just woke up from a dream. The gnome may be small, but his magic is powerful. What a great little album. Blooms Deep, by Lore Spinner. After releasing his first album called Lake Shrine, Lore Spinner quickly became one of the most beloved projects on this small music scene. In this new opus released on the last day of March, Lore Spinner continues to deliver some stunning slow and meditative dungeon synth. These deep whispery synth pads will take you to another realm. Listening to this, I was picturing the sound of a cold wind going through ruins of an ancient civilization. This is a very dreamy EP, with elements of new age music. And there is something very unique to this album. The artist included a 20-page RPG scenario to the digital release. I always love when artists do that kind of thing. Definitely add this one to your collection. With Dreams of Hereafter, by Hole Dweller. Whether Hole Dweller earlier albums should be considered comfy synth or dungeon synth is really up for debate. The sound of Hole Dweller has changed a lot in his last few releases. At this point, I would say that Hole Dweller doesn't care much about labels and just wants to make great music. And what a success! With Dreams of Hereafter is a stunning and very comforting album. The lo-fi and stripped-down production has been replaced with a cleaner and bigger sound. This LP is heavily driven by synthesizers that are very reminiscent of the 80s. These synth lines are so clean that it's like they are directly plugged into your consciousness, which goes very well with the theme of the album. Hole Dweller is also giving us some moving piano sequences. Everything here is so well composed, with a pop sensitivity. The melodies are heart-wrenching. The instrumentation is consistent throughout the album's runtime. You can just listen to a few seconds and know whether this album will be for you or not. For me, it was a clear yes. With Dreams of Hereafter is a brilliant album. The Aurora by Covered Bridges. The Aurora by Covered Bridges is my favorite album of the month. This album is an instant classic. With its luxurious pianos and synth arpeggios, this New Hampshire-based artist is taking you on a journey. The slow pitched down drums give an interesting contrast with the rest of the instrumentation. There is some psychedelia infused in this music, which is not something I hear a lot in the comfy synth scene. The Aurora sounds like a soundtrack, in the best way possible. From the chord changes to the arrangements, you can tell the person driving this thing is very talented. Every comfy synth lover should have this album in his collection. A truly magical record. And that's all for today. What albums did you enjoy this month? Please leave a comment and let me know. Thank you to all comfy synth artists for your beautiful recordings. See you next month for another comfy synth review. And remember to support your favorite artists on Bandcamp. Good night.